As the director of the YBB program, what is the Youth Building Bridges program?
Youth Building Bridge program is a program empowers American and Chinese students travel to rural area in China and teaching and sharing the knowledge with the primary, secondary education system. Through education and the social guidance, American students develop their international perspective and also gain unique experience of the power of education global community.
Well, in 2009, C&T organized a trip with 5 American high school students to travel with Yale University's Building Bridges program and college students in China to Sichuan province to assist in post-disaster education and community services in response to the earthquake there that had occurred the year before. Well, that first trip was such a success that in 2009, C&T decided to officially establish the Youth Building Bridges program. And we spent the year of 2009 through winter 2010 making preparations for the next trip, which would occur in the summer of 2010 to Shandong. And during this trip, YBB escorted, I believe, 24 high school students and 24 American college students.
The first thing we realized when we got to China was the immense heat of the town. And then when we stepped off the bus, we were hit by a wave of just heat. And at that second, we knew that the conditions of the next 2 weeks would be pretty hard.
When I first came to school, I just looked up, I'm like, oh my goodness, 2 weeks, how can I do this? But I met the people there, and they really helped me a lot. But I also worry about how am I going to connect with the students, because I'm just going to come in here day one and just start teaching, you know, like I have to hit the ground running and I better be sprinting, because I want to teach these kids some stuff in 2 weeks, and I found that to be my biggest fear.
When I got here, I was just kind of like blown away by how stark the place was, how like dusty everything was, the lack of plants and everything, lack of people that day, because on the very first day there was nobody in the school, and the buildings are like spread kind of far apart, and the field isn't even grass, it's just like it's kind of like a wasteland.
The next problem was we went into our dorms, and we saw bunk beds with extremely flimsy pieces of wood on it. And this was supposed to be what we were going to sleep on for the next 2 weeks.
At least I'm grateful to say that. I'm grateful that the wooden boards are like all together one piece.
I guess the biggest like hardship I've had while here was like my physical health, because I found it hard to get used to sleeping on like a wooden board every night. My little finger is still asleep. It's been asleep for like 2 weeks.
It really speaks when you're actually experiencing it than saying it. Because I felt like when I was saying, oh, there's not going to be good showers, I was underestimating how actually difficult it was. I found out living in rural China in Shandong, I find it's really real out here. Because you're actually experiencing what you read in books and what you hear online.
But even though I've had many hardships to go through, I've still overcome them, and I'm confident that I will learn a lot through this experience.
When I was teaching my class, it was very challenging and tough because of that language barrier between me and my students. My lectures sounded very underdeveloped and very unprepared. So as a result, it just sounded like I was rambling half of the time. And I don't even think that my students knew what I was talking about when I was rambling. In addition, I did not coordinate with my teammates beforehand, which meant if I ever made a mistake, they could not jump in and correct it.
The college students served as a way to connect to our students because they, of course, spoke Chinese better than we did. For instance, one of the college students in my class, Wang Bin, was a really great help to us, high schoolers mainly. He acted as a translator for us when we really couldn't find the right words to say to our students, or when we just had some trouble communicating to them and just showing them what the lesson really should be.
I guess the one thing that has helped me cope the most is the encouragement I get from my students and the sense of belonging I feel with them. It's like every time they smile or like their face lights up, I feel like I should have stayed here longer, I should have planned to stay here longer, that I should belong with them for the rest of their lives to like teach them, to like help them grow. And
First of all, the other volunteers, we're all in this together and we all help each other when we're sick or when we need help. If a classroom needs help, a volunteer is really willing to go to another classroom to help out. Also, the kids I'm teaching are extremely obedient and helpful and kind and caring. And even though every day I'm really tired after a day of teaching them, it still makes me happy to know that I've taught them something and that they're eager and ready to learn.
好，女士们、先生们，大家好。我们先听一下这边的啊 ，OK， 谁想要听我们今天和看我们今天的表演？
Alright, so the final performance was a culmination of the incredible growth and progress that was made by the students and by the volunteers throughout the 2 weeks of the program, and it reflected everything that we had learned, every aspect of the program, from like environmental protection to like art, music, physical education, and it was really a reflection of how much we had grown together. And the second part was the final performance. We spent basically the last 4 or 5 days of the program practicing for the final performance, and it was really high energy, and it really reflected what we had learned. For example, we did dances, we did skits and performances. Each class had to make 3 performances to display in the final performance, and there was such a plethora, a variety of different performances. And after the performance, it was raining, and we were showing a retrospective video, and the energy was incredible, and everyone just started crying. And I think that this sort of reflects the kind of profound friendships that were built throughout the program, and the familial ties that had developed between the students and the volunteers. The volunteers with each other, listening to each other, and with the students and the volunteers between the students.
We were extremely pleased to see her back, and our pieces packed. And it's a safe and sound and with a very good spirit. So that's very, very assuring.